right, Mike, shorter 60, up 2422.
Time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
It's 2019. Happy New Year. This is Audio Airstrike. I'm your host, Everett Hall-McNeill. I'm here with a film partner in crime, Brandon Kinion. You've seen him on the episode before, but also I have a guest, a very special guest at this time. A premier fighter from Conquest, Elijah Rude Boy Bolly, is with us as well. So,
how you guys doing today?
Doing good, man. So let's get into a couple of preliminaries. How was everybody New Year?
It was good. Good family, friends, good stuff.
Lots of liquor. I didn't drink anything.
I'm not a big lying.
I'm not lying.
I'll call your bluff right now.
You can call my bluff. I drank a little too much on Christmas Eve, and when I proposed to Lindsay, and I think I'm off the drinks until maybe Valentine's Day or July 4th. I drank enough.
Oh, okay. Goodness. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. He definitely had something.
Yeah, I'm not a big drinker.
Something. I'm not. But I don't put it past Brandon. I'm not trying to incriminate him, but
he just mad because I brought a 12-pack to his podcast episode on Valentine's Day. That's all.
I wasn't mad. I had one.
I know, but I'm trying to be more professional this year.
That's a good thing. Most definitely.
Oh man. So we got to get into this, man. This has been the biggest news that we've heard from in a while. I think the biggest news this week. I mean, everybody's kind of relaxed. Nobody's being ratchet out here except really R. Kelly.
You're right.
We've seen, have you guys, I mean, for those of you who have been hiding under a rock, Surviving R. Kelly on the Lifetime channel, they have been playing that, hyping that up. That's what's been going on, and everybody's talking about how they're trying to cancel R. Kelly. So let's talk about it. In 2019,
a long time ago.
That's what I'm thinking. In 2019, are we finally going to cancel R. Kelly?
I honestly think it's about time. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I mean, in my opinion, because it's factual stuff that he's been doing, not like it's fake.
I mean, honestly, it should have been done when we found out that he was messing with Aaliyah back in the early 90s. I think it should have been done right there. I never was the biggest R. Kelly fan. I know a lot of people are. But, I mean, he was pretty flagrant about that, and it just kept on going and kept on going. And we've been hearing about R. Kelly and his little exploitation, or we've been hearing about his issues for a long time.
Yeah, it is true. And one of the most disturbing things about this is the fact that there are people out there, on one side, they're defending him because they feel as though... scratch that. Let me get down to this though. When we're the fan of a music artist, we tend to give them a pass over, the bad stuff that they do. And that's very true. Name an artist, name your favorite artist, name probably the biggest scandal they've been a part of, and ask yourself, okay, did I look over it back then when that happened? We've all have done it to a point. Let's be for real in here. We all have done it to a point.
Most definitely, especially in American society. They love the underdog. They love the comeback story. So,
yeah. So now with this, in spite of whoever comes out, in spite of who says something, in spite of what may possibly go on, let me dig even deeper. Let's say we're a part of a label. Our job as a label is what?
Sell records.
But more than that,
make money.
More than that, think
what
artist.
Are you saying are you going somewhere like as a label we have a certain image to uphold?
No. So here's where I'm going. As a label executive, I have to make the audience follow this artist like it's Jesus almost. I need to build a cult-like following around this artist. Take an extension of who he is as a person, market that towards people that are going to sympathize with that and ride with him. If that makes sense, you get what I'm saying?
I mean, you play the sympathy. If you play the sympathy card, yeah, then that's what
it
you have to do. It ain't even
a sympathy card. We talking about. It's one of them things where I sell the dream as a label, and then my goal is to persuade you to buy in. That's what the record labels have done or record label. I don't know how many record labels R. Kelly has been with. That's what they have done with R. Kelly. And now, from a sociological perspective, because R. Kelly has come out with so many hits, so many records, sold so many albums, and has been the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives from an R&B perspective, from that side of it, it is hard for people to sit over here and go, I can't, they're going back and forth in their mind because of what the record label has done in combination with the talent of the artist. That is one piece of it. I'm not excusing what he did. What he did was trash. What he did was deplorable. We know this. But that is a caveat from a sociological perspective as to why you have people still going to the shows, as to why you still have people that are willing to ignore and still play the music in their car.
You're right. That's just like any art form. Necessarily, like a painter, they draw a painting, but they're just a bad person, or they've done some stuff. You're still gonna look at their painting. You're still gonna enjoy their art. So,
yeah, but my thing is, like, when was the last time R. Kelly really dropped a song that was hot? I never really followed him that much. And then I think it was like 10 years ago, he was peeing on a girl. And after that, I was kind of done.
Oh, more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. When he was peeing on a girl, the last song that I really, and I'm a little older than both of you, I'm not trying to brag about my age, but the last time I remember hearing an R. Kelly song I really liked was when he did Not Guilty with Jay-Z, and it turns out he was guilty.
You're right.
So, like, I hear where you're coming from. I never was that big a fan. Bump and Grind was popular when I was like, I don't see nothing wrong with a little Bump and Grind. That was popular when I was like in middle school, and I remember I Believe I Can Fly. That Space Jam.
Back in the late 90s.
Early 90s. That was before 95. And beyond that, I don't remember anything he's really done. It's like I was never really all that. But
yeah.
When was the last time he was like really hot with a hot song?
It's been a while.
He's had a couple features. He's had a couple of it's harder now because everybody's kind of quicker to cancel him now than back then. But let's be for real. He's wrote for people in the past. He's done hits in the past. Like, he's got timeless stuff. To the point, it's gotten to the point now where most of his catalog, he can literally tour off his catalog alone and make his money that way. He don't have to come out with something that's on the level of Bump and Grind or the whole Chocolate Factory album. He don't have to do that no more. That's where he is right now, currently in this career. Now, he won't be that way if these people really get together and cancel him out and be like, no, we're not going to the shows. We're not pulling up for the album. We're not pulling up for whatever other endeavors he's got going on.
I've been reading. First of all, I'll be honest, I haven't seen the show because the thought of it disgusts me. I got a daughter. I don't pay attention to stuff that doesn't appeal to me,
right,
for cultural purposes. But I hear that some people actually blame the girls for wanting to be successful or wanting to be that, and I think that's sick. That's sick. Like I think it's sick to want success so much that you lose your integrity. People do that all the time, and I think it's sick to support to hate women so much that you can't see how they would be exploited, or you can't see how somebody would use money to manipulate them. I think that's, people always talk about being woke. How much more asleep can you be?
Yeah, it is pretty factual. But this goes back to what I told you about earlier. That scheme that I revealed to you earlier, how long did that scheme work? Doggone near 20 years? How many generations?
Longer than that.
How many? It's been hot since 94.
Right. So you're talking 94 up until roughly 2019.
You're talking 25 years.
Yeah, so you're talking 25 years. 25 years that scheme has worked by the record label in combination with his talent. So of course of course there's going to be people who are brainwashed and think that way. Because now they got this meme going around where they put Hugh Hefner's picture with somebody who's younger, with the younger chick, and R. Kelly's picture with the younger chick, and being like, oh, when Hugh Hefner did it, nobody said nothing. Oh,
well,
but
nobody did, because honestly, that goes under deviance, right? And there was a different time period for Hugh Hefner. There was a different time period for the pornographic. There was this. I'm not saying Hugh Hefner was right or wrong. I'm just saying that certain things were accepted differently than they are now, especially with the Me Too movement.
But we're in a cancel culture now that will dig up old stuff and try to justify why they think the way they think.
That's true.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
It is very scary.
Very scary.
Because, but in R. Kelly's case, he didn't grow out of that. You know, I mean, in R. Kelly's case, from what I'm understanding, he never took the time to better himself as a person and to grow out of that. He seems like he's a very immature old man from what I'm seeing and hearing, because I think as a man, you grow up. As a man, you know, you might do certain things 20 years ago that you don't do now. Because right. you evolve or you grow. And I don't think that happened in this case with him. And I think the people that follow him are probably just as sick as him.
Yeah, I could see why. I definitely could see why you would say that, because it is very egregious when you sit back and you look at his followers are defending him. There's constantly evidence after evidence of what he's doing. Now I'll go this far. The people that are defending him, if they don't have kids, if they don't have teenage daughters, they don't understand from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? They don't really understand from that perspective. I'm not trying to give them a pass, but you know how people are. If the situation doesn't involve them or doesn't affect them personally,
it doesn't have no concern. Yeah, right. They don't care.
They don't care.
Yep.
He's playing, give me the music. That's how, I hate to say it like that, but you have selfish people out there that will sit over there that will say that. So, in my personal opinion, I think that when you have these egregious things happen, there needs to be a punishment. There needs to be something put in place, and there will be something put in place sooner or later. I'm a believer in that at some point he will go down for something like this. And I think this may be the year he may go down for this.
I mean, I like I said before, like I don't think so, because it's an art form. Like, music is art. Music is just an art form. So it comes on the radio. You're still gonna listen to it if it's nice. That has nothing to do with you liking him as an individual. Like,
can I ask y'all a question? And I mean, this is something interesting that I read on my Facebook line. A guy said that the second R. Kelly touches a woman of the second that R. Kelly touches a woman of a different complexion, that all of this could stop real quick. How do you feel about that? Just that thought.
Well, I mean, if you look at the infomercial, if you look at the commercial in the Surviving R. Kelly at Lifetime, I said the only reason, and there was one woman who was an actual victim of R. Kelly who said the only reason why this has gone on for so long is because we're black girls. And she blatantly said that in the commercial. This was just a commercial. So I'm pretty sure she said that, had no problem saying that during the actual recording of her interview. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that we need to discuss. Like, how come when it touches a certain class, a certain type of people, things get put to a halt a lot quicker and stuff gets nipped in the bud a lot quicker than somebody of a different background? That's something that's always bothered me. It's like currently in this area with this opioid crisis. You got a bunch of inner city people that have been dealing with the opioid crisis for years.
You're right. 100%.
And then the second it touches a county, the second it touches somebody who is a certain status, lives in the county, or is the son of a important government official or whatever, now it's a problem. Now you want to come and put all these programs in these high schools. Now you want to sit over there and talk about make almost like a 2019 version of the DARE program from the 90s and the early 2000s. Now you want to put this in place. This has been a problem in the inner city for years. It's like, oh, if it don't affect me, then I ain't worried about it. Oh my goodness, little Johnny across the street got affected. I'm in the county. Oh, let me stand up and make a change now. It shouldn't have got to that point. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't come down to that. It should come down to this divisiveness of oh, this is about, oh, if it's from a certain background, oh, I ain't really fooling with it. An injustice at one spot is an injustice everywhere. That's how I think. So if I see somebody that's dealing with sexual abuse, domestic abuse, that's affecting the whole community. I don't care what your background is. That's how it should be, but people don't think like that. I definitely agree with that point. Your thoughts?
I mean, that's how it should be, but in our society, it doesn't work like that. You know that from if you have inner city kids to the county, if it's not a problem for them, it's not. You know, so when stuff hit people home, then they want to do, you know, they want to take action.
Now they want to take action.
Yeah, but like I said before, as far as him being a person and him as an artist, there's two different things. So like people look at his fans will look at him being an artist, and people want to see him as a human being. He's a human being. He's been messing up. He's been doing a lot of stuff. Him as an artist, that's the whole nother thing.
See, I disagree with that because I feel like who the artist is and who the actual person is are intertwined. You're inspired by what's around you. Your art is fueled by what's around you, your experiences, what you went through. If he writes a short film, or if he writes a play, or he writes something like that, I don't care. He can lie to my face. Mm-hmm. I can look at that script and tell, oh, you went through this here, and I see it in your script.
Yeah, but you're also somebody that knows how to read that script like that. The average person does not know how to read that script. They're watching something to get away from the realities of whatever. Now, there might be something that resonates with that person. They might feel this or feel that, but they don't understand the subtle nuances that come that you are going to understand, Everett. Same as if I was making music and I make music, but I'm not a singer, and somebody that's a singer might understand R. Kelly in a whole different way than I would as somebody that doesn't sing R&B. So I don't think that's fair. Artists and music intertwined and being different. I think Michael Jackson had his issues, but his music has always stood kind of apart from his issues. I mean, they're kind of intertwined, but at the same time, they're not, because he has so many different levels. He had Michael Jackson with Jackson 5, Michael Jackson's first album, Thriller, Bad, all the way up until, This Is It. And we don't really, even though Michael had his weird issues, we look at his music differently than we look at him.
Well, here's how I feel about that, right? Because we know the details with MJ. We know the details. We know people was trying to come after him for his money. This is confirmed. This is confirmed.
We weren't trying to come at R. Kelly for his money. I mean,
bruh, it's a little different with R. Kelly. We can't sit over there and say he's getting the same pass.
Can you separate Tupac from his music? I mean, I would say Tupac's more intertwined with his music. Like when I think of Tupac's music, I put them both together. I think for some artists, you know, it is weird because for some artists you can't separate them, and for some artists you can.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I never really thought of that, but you know, it's not a one way. And in R. Kelly's thing, when you hear an R. Kelly song, I think an interesting thing was you're a father, right?
Yeah.
So when you hear an R. Kelly song, do you hear an R. Kelly song or do you think about your daughter? Me, I'm going to think about my daughter.
I just hear the song. I just hear the art of the song. And once that song is done, oh, okay. I go into the next song or go into the next thing. Or if I just like any performance, any fighter, anything, painting, I just look at the art. And I mean, there's people that have done some outrageous things, and from fighting to performers to artists. So it's just like, it's just art form to me.
But
I'm not the law.
You wouldn't go to his concert.
Are you pulling up at his concert?
Would you let your daughter go to his concert?
No.
Exactly why?
One, she probably won't even listen to that.
No, I'm saying if she was older.
I'm saying if she was aware.
If she was older. If she was 16.
If she was aware and we talked about it, then I'd be like, I don't want you to go there, support that. But I mean, you could listen to it because it's an art form. I can't stop you from listening to music. Music is art. So I mean, but I would suggest you not to go because what he represents.
Do you think, E, that I'm asking E because he's an adult, he's a parent. That's the only reason I'm asking him.
That's cool.
And I'm listening to him. Do you think sometimes as parents, when we say no, you can't do this, that makes our children want to do it more?
Probably, but like I said, I would talk to her, explain to her why I'm telling you this. You know, because one day she'll be an adult and she's gonna make her own decisions. So as far as me explaining why I don't want her to go, that would be my explanation. And when you become an adult, you do what you want to do. As far as that, that's my opinion. Because just like you guys have your opinions, I'll have my opinion. She'll have her opinion. Same concept.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, I like that though, because I mean, at least you're having an open conversation and just not saying no. Because see, I think sometimes when you tell somebody no, especially when you tell, and this is something I learned with daughters. I don't have a boy. The second I tell her don't do this or don't do that or you can't have this, it can be a million gifts underneath the Christmas tree. The second I say that one is not yours, that's the only one she's gonna want. It's just weird.
I mean, that's the old saying. You mean curiosity kills the cat. You
Right.
know, curiosity makes you wonder. So people keep telling you no. Eventually, you're gonna try to figure out why.
Right.
You know, there's always a why. There's always a purpose. So
Yeah, because I got a perfect example with that. So the school I went to, private school, high school I went to, they were very like, I think I've heard they were a little bit relaxed now, but they was very strict, as you expect from a private school. If you keep on telling kids, hey, stay away from sex, drugs, and drinking, what the hell do you think they're going to do at some point when they see the opportunity?
Do all three of them high, drunk, and have sex.
Do all three of them things at probably one party or several.
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely.
Right. But they were being instead of breaking down to them, hey, this is stuff you need to look out for, and here's why. Like at the end of the day, you make your own decision. Instead of breaking it down like that, because they decided to like beat them over the head. That beat them over the head is going to make them just go at it harder. Okay, you're telling me I can't do this? I'm going to find a way around what you're telling me, and I'm going to go over here and accomplish that.
And if you're an adult, if you're a parent and you're beating that stick upside the head, when they get mad at you, they might do it just to upset you. Just because you're bigger than them, you're stronger than them, you're older than them, you have all the power, so the only power they have is hurting you.
So now we're getting into something. Let me ask you this, because y'all are parents. Do you feel like that at a certain what age do you feel like there's this chess game between they get rebellious? Like is it a certain age or is it periodically over a long period of time?
Born into them, bro.
It's born. It's kids. Once kids understand, they'll do things on purpose to make you do what they want you to do.
Exactly. I mean, I'll give you an example.
From 6 months old, like they understand.
Yes, and I find it even more difficult with daughters than boys, and I'll tell you why.
Talk about
I find it more difficult with daughters than boys, and I'll tell you when it hit me like flat in the face. My daughter wasn't even able to talk. She's in the room, she's crying. Her grandmother's in the kitchen cooking. Her grandmother comes in, she stops crying, and she's happy daughter again. And then my mother, her grandmother, goes back in the kitchen. As soon as she goes back in the kitchen, my daughter starts crying, and I look at my daughter, I was like, stop playing games with her. My mother then yells, can you take care of your daughter? And then I looked at her, I was like, stop playing games with her. My daughter looks up, she smiles, and then she starts crying again. She couldn't even talk, and she's learning how to manipulate just by crying and getting attention.
Yeah, that's definitely starts at a young age. That's just how kids are. They're smart. And people think, oh, just because they can't talk. No, they understand. Like if you teach a kid sign language, they'll do signs before they even speak.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like they know certain things. So
yeah, that's pretty, well. I just wanted to ask you that because it's very very interesting because I'm not a parent yet.
Yeah, and wait until you look at them, and then you see so many things in your kid. You see yourself, but you also see your partner, and you see your parents, because it's all in that DNA, man. And I mean, it's rewarding, but it can be kind of scary. It can be, because sometimes you see yourself.
Right. You want to bring your daughter in here, or?
No, she's good.
Okay.
She's over there chilling. She's asking me if she can eat the food. That's all.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you want to bring her in here. You can. We can because we can cut this out. We can edit. So.
Oh no, we good.
Okay, cool. So let me ask you this question, and I just wanted your perspective on this. You know, there's a video released of Drake, kind of was kissing on the neck of a 17-year-old, and it's funny that this video happens to be released now. This video is from years ago.
What year?
This was back. I think it was like never was the same Drake. So maybe like 20. No. Hold on. Looking at it. Hold on. Let me think.
It looks really, really old.
It looks really old. Like I want to say 2010, 2009, around that time.
So about between 7 and 10 years old.
Yeah, it's definitely old. Like
how old was Drake then? How old is Drake now?
32?
Drake is now 32.
So he would have been 22.
Yeah, somewhere around.
At max 21, 22.
Right.
Okay.
So this video surfaced after this whole R. Kelly scandal coming out. So I just wanted to kind of ask you this question. Are we holding Drake accountable at all for something that, first of all, he didn't know the girl was 17. Second of all, this is the same guy that also said, This is the same guy that said that he would beat somebody up in a club if he caught somebody fondling a female fan.
That was a couple years ago, though.
Yeah,
right?
that was a couple years ago.
Like 1, 2, 3, not a long time ago. That was recent.
So because of that, with knowing all that knowledge, are we really gonna hold him accountable for that particular that one thing?
I mean, in my opinion, no. Like, I don't see anything necessarily. I think it was inappropriate, yes, at the time, but I'm not the law. Like, I'm not her parents. I'm not the girl. So if the girl has something wrong with it, then she could do what she needs to do accordingly. As far as him at that moment in time, he's a performer. He's on the stage performing. A girl comes up on the stage. He does, XYZ. He didn't even have to ask her age. He asked her age, and then it was like, oh, well, I didn't even know you were 17. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, now I know you're 17. Let me do this, So you can see as he's like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize you were 17. He even admits it on film. So,
all right.
I think there's 2 takeaways from this. Number 1 takeaway is, she's 17, he's 22. That's 5 years. All right. And in comparison to like R. Kelly, come on, man.
Yeah.
There was a big difference, There was a big difference. 5 years when you're 17, 18, I agree kind of what he's saying. Like, he brought her on stage. He didn't know how old she was, and he was a little taken back when he found out her age. And there's a 5-year difference, and he was a young artist then. Like, I doubt very seriously he would do that now with 10 years of professional concerts. That's one. Second takeaway, and this has been going on for a long time, young girls like to dress like they're older girls. Older girls like to dress like they're young girls. Men kind of dress their age. I think there comes a certain time where you got to just be proud of your age, women. Be proud of what you are. You don't have to be 17 looking like you're 27, and you don't have to be 35, 40 looking like you're 20. And I think that can be very hard for some men to understand. Like, men, they go to a club or something, an adult atmosphere, and there's these young girls that are trying to get past the bouncer and stuff like that.
Right, bringing fake IDs and all that type of stuff.
They're going to do that because they're young, but at the same time, don't let yourself be played by a child, man. Like act your age and be proud of your age. Don't be pressed to grow up fast. Right. And don't be trying to be young when you're old. Be proud of what you are, because you are what you are. And I think sometimes I might get in trouble for it. I don't mean to sound sexist or misogynist, but I think women always are competing with themselves, and it makes no sense for a grown woman to be competing with a young girl, in my opinion, or vice versa.
Okay. It's pretty interesting. So, yeah, definitely. So, with Drake, I don't think Drake is going to get canceled for that little mishap. I think it'd probably be a misunderstanding, and that's probably going to be it. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that particular situation. Now, I want to bring the attention to this next topic. So, Brandon called me with a time limit, of course. I made sure I put a time limit there because, Brandon would be trying to have 4 hour, 5 hour, 6 hour.
All day.
Right. He trying to put in an 8 hour shift just talking to you.
Legit. Got the gift. He got the gift.
Gift to gab, baby. You know what? I got a lot on my mind all the time.
So we were talking, and then we were talking about Conor McGregor. We were talking about Jon Jones. And I kind of wanted to talk about our phone conversation on this podcast because it got really interesting between me and him. This is how I told him I felt like Jon Jones had the ability to be just as much of a big name as Conor McGregor, but I feel like two factors prevented that. One, his issues, his drug issues, and two, this is eye test wise. Keep in mind, I'm not acting like I'm a MMA aficionado. I'm not a know-it-all when it comes to MMA. I'm just going based off what I see as a casual fan. I'm looking at
casual. Don't claim casual. Just say MMA fan. Don't be a casual.
Bro, I don't follow MMA religiously.
Doesn't matter. Don't be a casual, man.
Well,
Have some
whatever.
self-respect.
Whatever. So
It's not like being a casual baseball fan. Am I right? He doesn't want to be a casual.
Nah, don't be a casual.
Don't be a casual.
You're a fan.
Okay. All right. I'll put it for the politically correct, so that way I don't piss the MMA community off.
And you will.
I'm a fan. Yeah.
As a casual, we hate casuals.
Right. So I see that. Just don't beat the snot out of casuals. So when I talked to Brandon about this, there were two particular things that I felt like could have stopped. Well, I felt like did stop him from really getting to a legacy on the level of Conor's. One, the drug issues. Two, I felt like that when I look at a Jon Jones fight, I don't get that same hype that I would from a Conor McGregor fight from this perspective. Daniel Cormier, and I'll bring this up. Daniel Cormier has been known to have several fights with Jon Jones. They have
two.
They have a historic feud. Okay, several. It's more than one.
Only reason it's so big is because Jon Jones, did that push when they were did that first time. When he pushed him and just knocked him through. That was crazy.
So, but this is how I feel about it, right? So, on one hand, that goes down, that happens. So, I'm looking at Daniel Cormier. I said, okay, Daniel Cormier is a talented fighter. This is what we know. However, look-wise, I look down, I see his gut. And then I'm looking at the other fighters that Jon Jones has faced, and I'm looking at them physically. Now, keep in mind, I'm not into this heavy. So I'm looking at all these different opponents, and I'm going, ain't none of them ready for him. Eye test. I'm strictly going eye test. You see it from a different perspective because you're in it.
Yeah, you're strictly going off how they look, and that's how a lot of people do. That's the way our society is. Somebody looks big and bad. Oh, he must be big and bad. I mean, that's just. I mean, you're black. I'm black. Oh, we must be tough. Big and black dude. It's just that's just society. That's how society looks at people. So that's just how we do it.
So I'm looking. So that was one of the biggest reasons. And I was telling Brandon about this before he got butthurt and came in here with a bunch of notes today.
Came out here with great notes, but now we're not going to go over any of my notes because they're so good that he doesn't. It's Everett's show. He's got to be the smartest guy on the show.
I ain't ready. I'm not afraid of you or that smoke that you got on your notes. So fire. I mean,
all right. Let's talk about it. I mean, let's talk about it. E. Do you think Jon Jones can sell as much as Conor McGregor?
No.
Pay-per-views?
No.
I'm asking E.
I think so. With Jon Jones, he has a lot of issues. From the steroids to the personal life. The way Conor does it, it's a little different. Conor tries to show that he's an asshole. All the time, every time. Whenever there's a camera around, he's like, I'm an asshole. Look at me. F y'all. Like, I'm the best. Da, 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 da. Jon Jones just doesn't really do that when the camera's around. Even in the beginning, he never really talked shit. He never has in the past. I mean, has, fights lead up to it. They might say a little here, say a little there, but he hasn't really come out and say, well, I'm going to beat the shit out of my opponent.
He did that with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
after he beat Cormier the second time. I believe.
Exactly. But that's not known for him to always do that. Conor McGregor, every opponent. He'll talk about their mom, talk about their kids, he'll talk about their family,
their race.
Like he's
their
trying,
religion. I mean, everything that he can do to get inside
to
your
make
head.
money. It's about money.
It is about money.
It's all about money. It's him trying to get as much money as he can out of the short span of his career, which if you look at the bigger picture, you're like, oh well, he's just trying to make money. But if you look at the individual, you're like, oh, he's an asshole.
So is it safe to say he's like, and I maybe a hot take here, is it safe to say he's like the MMA version of Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
he's a prize fighter. He's a prize fighter fighting for a prize, and that prize is money. But Jon Jones is in a group of people that he wants the money. He'll take the money, but the money is not the motivation, in my opinion, for why he does what he does.
I honestly just think Jon Jones just doesn't care
about what,
about like his image necessarily,
or what about his legacy though.
He doesn't care. I don't think he cares about that.
I think he fights to be the greatest of all time.
I think he fights to be I think he fights to beat the greatest, or he wants to fight the best person. But as far as his legacy, I don't even think he cares about that. I just think he cares about making money and fighting, and just he's even said it for some fights he hasn't even trained. He don't even train hard for some of his fights. So how bad do you care about your legacy if you're not even training
that's a
to
solid
fight?
Point right there. If you're not,
the man goes, oh, I wouldn't even train for some fights and I would still win. Oh, that just shows me, oh, it's that easy. So I could literally not do nothing for 8 weeks of camp and go in there, beat the shit out of somebody, get this money, and oh, well, I could do this. I could just party legitly.
So now, with that being said, now him doing this, with him doing that approach, and this is confirmed, he does that approach from time to time. He's admitted it on wax, right?
He's admitted it in the past.
What fights? Do you remember? I'm just asking. I'm not trying to call you out.
No, he's admitted it in the past. That's what he's done. He wouldn't train hard for some of his fights. I don't know which ones. I just know he's admitted that. Not saying that he hasn't trained in the when he was in college. Not saying that he didn't train when he first started fighting. Because obviously you have skill, so it means you've trained. But I think he's like, well, I've got to a certain point where I'm better than everybody. So I don't have to kill myself anymore. I don't have to like put in every day, 3 times a day, 2 times a day. I could get by doing this. I could get by doing that.
So this further makes me suspicious, and I think I may be jumping the gun here, but I feel like that further supports my statement about the hype that I don't have for Jon Jones fights. If he feels like that he can do that stuff, then what does that say about the opponents that are being put in front of him? What does that say about
great opponents put in front of him though, Everett?
He's had great opponents.
Great opponents. I mean, like
from the fights that his opponents have had and what they've done, amazing.
Okay.
And I knew this was going to come up, and this is where some of the stats, and I just thought they were interesting because when I look at athletes, MMA guys, he's about to fight somebody coming up. Right. What I'm gonna do first thing when I'm doing my research, what I'm gonna do first thing when I find out that E or somebody I know is fighting is the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the record. All right. And the second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna research the record of the fighters that they're fighting. All right. And I thought it would be interesting to look up the record of all of Jon Jones, the people he's beat and the people he's fought. And the combined record of all of Jon Jones' competitors is 408 to 164, which is a lot.
That's really good. He's been fighting guys that have winning records.
Okay.
But an interesting thing is in the first 10 fights, you get a lot of 6 and 3s, 5 and 5s, 0 1s. But then once he hits the UFC, he's fighting guys 15 and 4, 27 and 8, 26 and 5, Rampage. I mean,
the competition level jumps, tremendously.
Tremendously. Right. And I mean, we're talking about a guy that was 23 when he won his title. And the thing about it is, how mature is any 23-year-old in any sport? I mean, Kobe was young. He was a lot more immature. He was 23 when he went through that sex scandal. And then he was different when he came back.
You're right. He was.
Right.
Mike Tyson, different fighter after he went to jail. And I'd say Jon Jones might be a different fighter since these steroid scandals and everything. But I don't think these steroid scandals hurt Jon Jones as much. And as I was telling you on the phone, when Jon Jones was 23 and a champion, there was a lot more people doing steroids. The USADA wasn't as hard in 2011 as they are in 2019.
Okay, gotcha.
And
all right, that makes sense.
TRT
now.
was rampant.
You know, and so, and we talked about this, and I'm so glad you're here, E, because if everybody around me is doing something, am I a fool for not doing it, or am I going to do it because if I don't do steroids and somebody else is doing steroids, does that make me stupid? Because everybody else, and you and I were talking about it in comparison to Lance Armstrong, about Lance Armstrong and them, but people, even there, people are saying that the top 10 people in the U.S. Open, the Tour de France, were drugging. And it's kind of weird, you know, because when they come down with new rules, they want to make an example out of big names in any sport.
Well, I'm not going to get my point across if I pick on some no-namer. I'm not gonna get my point across. So I gotta if I'm the ops, if I'm the person that does checks and balances over drugs and stuff like that within that organization, you damn right I'm coming at the headliner. If I catch him doing something stupid, I got to make an example. So why not make an example out of the biggest name that we have to set precedent? Because if he gets caught, everybody else follows in line and does exactly what they're supposed to do. Leave the drugs alone so we can have a clean sport.
To an extent.
To a point.
To an extent. I mean, Anderson Silva's been caught. Nobody's really talking about him no more. And he's about to fight again. They're about to fight Israel Asada. 85ers.
And everybody thinks he's washed up ever since the leg. Yeah. Ever since the Chris Weidman thing. I mean, people thought he was coming back and
got popped.
But when he got popped that second time,
and not once, he got popped twice for steroids. Twice.
Just like Jon Jones.
Yeah.
And he's losing. See, Jon Jones is winning. And that's I think Jon Jones is like the bad boy in MMA. I think that's part of his persona. I don't think some people say that about Conor. You just said that about Conor and about how Conor talks shit and all that. But I think anybody that really knows MMA knows Conor's game is not as complete as Jon Jones. What do you think, E?
It's funny that you say that because a lot of guys that are in the UFC are white belts in jiu-jitsu. They don't do jiu-jitsu. They do wrestling. They do counter wrestling. They do wrestling to get off their ass. They don't even do. A lot of them are white belts, blue belts. People don't even realize that. A lot of people don't even know that. I think Jon Jones is a blue belt, but he wrestled his whole life. He's done other stuff, so you could get by without jiu-jitsu in certain aspects of fighting.
Yeah, but I mean, Conor's a striker.
Conor wrestles. If you watch some of his old film back from when he was training, when he was like at the gym in Ireland, he wrestled his ass off. Conor is a legit wrestler, like counter wrestler, getting up off his ass. The only person that kept him down was Chad Mendes. That's it.
Nate.
Yeah, and Nate exactly. Yeah. Those are the two people.
Oh, Khabib, don't throw him in
Khabib.
There.
Sorry, Khabib.
Yeah,
Khabib. So those are the three people that have Nate jiu-jitsu, Chad Mendes wrestling, and Khabib wrestling that kept him down. Other than that, he's fought way more guys than that in the UFC.
Yeah, but he fights more. Okay, you're right. But how many? He hasn't fought that many more guys than that.
He's fought guys that, if you look at what's his name,
he fought the guy before Chad.
Yes,
he fought Chad. He fought Aldo. He fought Alvarez.
Alvarez is a wrestler. Did Alvarez do anything?
That was a mismatch for Alvarez.
It was for Alvarez, but what I'm saying is based off. You say Conor doesn't have skill. Conor has a lot of skill. He knows exactly what he's doing. He'll bait guys into his stance, into his way of striking, because he's a southpaw. It's if you get guys rushing in, you know what to do if you've been doing it for so many years. So he has a lot of skill. You can't have a lot of skill to be fighting in where he's fighting at. You can't. You have to have skill. You might be very skilled at one part, but not super skilled at jiu-jitsu, which he's not. Which we know. We've seen that. We've seen him get beat up by Chad Mendes on the ground. We've seen Khabib beat his ass up. You know what I'm saying? In the wrestling, ground and pound. But other than that, we haven't seen him get beat up by anybody else, getting on stand-up wise.
But do you see anybody being able to do that to Jon Jones? I mean, Jon Jones, I just feel like Jon Jones is better at mixing it up than Conor would ever be. I think it's leaps and bounds.
Of course. I think Jon Jones is a better complete martial artist than Conor McGregor. But do I think Jon Jones is actually cheated? Yeah. So it's like Conor McGregor hasn't been popped for anything, hasn't been caught doing anything as far as cheating, you would say, in drug tests. It's a drug test.
He hasn't done the drug test, but I feel like Conor's thing influences everybody. Whereas Jon Jones, you mentioned you hit the big fish, everybody else falls in line, kind of thing. That's one thing. But I can never see Jon Jones throwing a dolly in a bus.
No, hell no.
You know, I could never see the extreme.
But you know why he's doing it, though.
That's a whole different mindset. That's a whole different, because it's about money with him. It's all about money. Because legit, you threw a chair into a bus. You messed up 1, maybe 2, 3, 4 fights.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I'm saying?
So that means event. You messed up. He messed up a whole
exactly.
event.
So you took money out of people's mouths. Then they had to sue you to get money back from you. So it's just like that.
It's counterproductive at that point.
Exactly. That's counterproductive. Granted that it could have been an act or might not have been an act. Who knows? Who cares at this point?
Yeah.
It's over. You know, you're back in the UFC because they want you there to make money. It's a money game. If you can.
Do you think Jon Jones, I mentioned it earlier, Jon Jones, when he pushed Daniel Cormier, you know, right before the first fight that they had, and he pushed him and they started making that bigger show, do you think that was his attempt to make things like Conor, or do you think that was like an organic, I can't stand you moment?
He can't stand Daniel Cormier. He can't, because Daniel Cormier runs his mouth. And Daniel Cormier is pretty good at talking shit.
That he is.
And he doesn't go, he goes for facts, for factual stuff, which Jon Jones has done enough stupid stuff to give you some facts.
All right.
So it's like, bro, if you keep telling me what I've done and I'm trying to better myself as a man, I don't want to hear that.
Right.
I don't. Like, I'm going to get pissed.
Right. If I keep bringing up flaw after flaw after flaw and you've moved past that, you trying to get better, at some point you're gonna be like, all right, bro, you keep saying this, I'm gonna knock your face off.
Exactly. And that's what Daniel Cormier's smart. He's a very smart person. Mm-hmm. He knows he'll keep pushing his buttons. And even what happened when they fought, he's like, I'm done. I don't want the belt no more. He was like, I'm giving up. Because he's like, what kind of shit is this? He's like, you letting this man that did all this stuff come back and fight for a title again? I mean, granted, I don't think he wants to fight him. Granted,
I don't think he wants to fight him either, because the thing about Jon Jones, one of the more interesting things, especially with this fight with Gus, and I use DC as an example too, I see Jon Jones getting better. I just see, when I see Jon Jones, I see him getting stronger. I mean, he took Gus out quick this last time compared to the first time. Took DC out quick compared to the first time. Now, some people might say he was on drugs, whatnot, but still, DC got smoked. I mean, it was quick.
Yeah, I don't negate his skill. That's one thing that you can't, even if you do or on some performance enhancing whatever, there's a skill that comes to fighting. Like if we're both punching at the same speed, you know, like if you're on juice, it's gonna hurt me more than it hurts you, obviously. But there's also meaning that I can move out the way. You know, it's just like playing chess. It's like playing speed chess. Like, I have to have moves ahead of the game. I have to be thinking a certain way. Taking swords ain't gonna make you think better. It's not gonna make your fight IQ better. That will never make anything. It'll make your body stronger. It'll make your hands quicker. It'll make certain muscles, fast twitch muscles, quicker. You know, make your cardio better. But that's still cheating. You know, but it will never make your fight IQ better. So,
what is a fighter IQ?
Things you see, like tells. Everybody has tells. Everybody has different tendencies. Everybody does certain things. So you have to be able to change it on the fly. Because you say you have a game. Everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face.
Mike Tyson.
Ain't that the truth?
Everybody has a game plan until you punch them in the mouth, and that it goes out the window because you go back to instinct. You literally go back to. I've been hit so hard sometimes I don't remember, and my body just goes off of instinct.
When you go in with a game plan, things change throughout a fight. Can you kind of explain that process a little bit?
Yeah, so you go in with the game plan based off what your coaches see, what you see. So you go in there as far as what to do, and the guy might come out in a whole different stance. The guy might come out and just do something out the wall, and you're like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Because it's not what we talked about. It's not what we seen on film. It's not what I was coached for. So legitimately at the time when that happens, you just have to go back to instinct.
But what are some of the things that you're trying to feel out in round one of a fight and stuff like that?
He's just trying to feel him out. Let's see how fast he throws. You see how hard he kicks. You can see how strong the guy is, because then you'll know what you can and can't do sometimes. Like sometimes if I know a guy is a better striker than me, I won't try to strike with you. Or if I know you're just trying to throw bombs, I probably won't stand there because I don't want to get hit. I'll probably try to take you down because you're throwing bombs and I don't want to get knocked. Nobody wants to get knocked out. It's not fun. It sucks getting knocked out. So it's like what you base it off, like I said, speed chess. Like you have a move and then they have a move, you try to counter, then you just play the game. It's like a game back and forth. And it's quick. I played other sports. I played football, I've wrestled, I've done track. It slows down. Fighting does not slow down. I don't care what anybody says. It's always fast. It never has slowed down yet. And I'm about to have my 12th pro fight. So it's like, it's still fun. It's still exciting. So it's still scary. So
you get a thrill off of this fear or whatever? What do you mean by scary? Because, when I see you, I don't ever see somebody scared.
You seem pretty like composed, but then again, I mean, this is my first time meeting you, so I don't know all the ins and outs.
You seem scarier than you seem scared. I've seen you in tons of fights. I see E before he gets out of the fight, when he's getting that shit put on his face. I'm like, man, he's about to kill somebody.
It's a feeling. It's like, it's just this weird feeling because I'm a very composed person, but then as soon as the lights come on, you got to walk out. Then you start getting the jitters. You get it when you play every sport. Like if you don't have the jitters, something is wrong with you. Like something, you don't like this no more. This is not what you should change this. You need to do another sport. If you don't get those jitters, every fighter has these jitters. They might come at you. Some guys go run, take a shit, or some guys run, take a pee, or some guys have to like get slapped in the face because it's just. I'm in my first ever pro fight. The first time I got to go punch somebody in the face, it was so weird. I'm screaming because I have so much energy because I'm walking to the cage. I'm screaming because I'm like, I've never done this before. I'm punching somebody in the face. Like
the ref didn't stop it.
No,
and then you were yelling at the ref. Come on, man.
No,
Come
not
on,
that
man.
fight. That was my first pro fight.
Oh yeah. But I mean, still, it was. It was an exciting moment, and see, like, it's interesting. I'm sorry to go off on a different topic, but I mean, we got E. I'm gonna talk MMA with my man. It's so interesting because you're not like other fighters, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is some guys are trying to get in UFC. Some guys are doing this once they hit a certain level of whatever, they go do something else. You're interesting because you fight and you're gonna fight. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're gonna fight.
I'm gonna fight.
And how? What's driving that? Because it's unique. People fight for money. People fight for all these reasons.
What is your motivation with that?
What is your motivation? My motivation, legitly, you can't do it, so I can do it. And it's a sport. I like a challenge. I legitly love a challenge.
So you like the thrill of the challenge, the adversity. That's what you do it for. Yeah,
that's just life. Like life is a challenge. Like my whole life has been a challenge. So it's just like this is another challenge. And then when I'm done with this challenge, I'm gonna move on to the next challenge. So it's like once I get this done, I don't want to look back at my life and be like, well, I didn't want to fight that guy because I was scared, or I didn't take this opportunity because I was afraid to do it. Like no, fear is fear is always gonna be there. You're gonna have jitters, you're gonna have fear. But you have to overcome it. You have to do it, because then you will look back and say, oh man, be like, why didn't I do that?
Yeah, it's one of the things that trips me out about watching you fight. It's one of the reasons why you're one of my favorite fighters to watch, because, man, I've seen it happen with a lot of people. I've seen the fight just get beat out of them, or they fight a certain fight, and I don't want to say they're the same, but their motivation changes. Some guys like to work out. Some guys like to work out at the gym. Some guys, they get hurt or whatever. It's like that shit doesn't affect you. I mean, you're in practice. You're gonna go. Sometimes you fight a little bit. I mean, how many years? There was one year, I think it was last year or the year before. Didn't you fight like 4 or 5?
Last year I fought 4 fights. Yeah,
And that's a lot.
and
that's
that
a
was a
lot.
lot of fighting.
And I mean, we're talking Shogun fights, title fight. That you know,
I had two title fights, and then I lost all my fights last year.
but some of them were really good fights. You know,
Everybody was a good fighter last year. I had nobody that was a slouch. Nobody was a slouch. Everybody was a good opponent.
And see, like that's what I'm talking about. Like 4 losses for a lot of guys, they would be like, maybe it's time to hang it up. And you're not that guy.
No, I put myself on a track to where like 2020 is my last year. So I'm gonna make sure I make it to 2020, end of 2020, and I'm gonna get as many fights as I can. And if I'm not making enough money, then that's my cut.
Are you going to go to coaching? Are you going to continue doing jiu-jitsu? I mean, are you
most likely? I would love to continue doing jiu-jitsu. Right now, I can't. Legitimately, I would love to just do jiu-jitsu, but I can't pass this opportunity right now. Like,
okay.
You know, as far as fighting, like when you get older, you can't fight. You can do jiu-jitsu for the rest of your life. I can do jiu-jitsu till I'm 65. I can compete jiu-jitsu forever. Fighting this is just a small window of my life.
And how old will you be in 2020?
I will be 35.
And you're going to walk at 35.
And how old are you now?
33.
Oh, okay.
And how old were you when you started fighting? And we're talking
2012.
2012?
27.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 27 when I started fighting. Yeah.
And I mean, E's, you know, I was blessed to see E because I saw E's last amateur fight, and I saw E's first pro fight, and I've seen as many fights as I could. E's one of the people I've seen a lot of stuff, and exciting fights. I mean, I think one of my favorite fights is the Shogun fight that you won. What I guess was before last year.
Yeah, before it was in October. My last win is legitly October 11th of 2017. My last win has been since October 11th, 2017.
And that was a great fight, though.
Yeah, it was a good fight. It was I should have finished him, but I literally was coming off a knockout of I got knocked out the fight before.
And you're one of the people, you're not afraid to travel. Like, you got a fight coming up in Greenville.
Yeah.
You've been fighting in Florida last year.
I went to Florida. I went to Ohio. I've been to Pennsylvania. I just go wherever the opponents.
And sometimes, you know, some fighters aren't as quick to travel. And we were talking to Everett, you know, sometimes I call it bait. Sometimes fighters are bait. And sometimes fighters try to pad their record up and stuff like that. And that's one of the more admirable things about you, because you don't really do that record padding. You will fight when it's time to fight.
Yeah.
You know, and
as long as a guy has as many fights as me, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Legitly. You have the same amount of fights, or you have 1 or 2 more. You could be on a 13-0 run, and I'm 12 fights, and my record's not as good as you. I'll still fight you
because you're not scared of that. You understand people pad people's records. I mean,
just like how you say you look at their opponents and you see who they beat and what their record was. I look at my first pro fight. The guy that I fought was 7-1. He beat everybody. Nobody wanted to fight him. I was like, the dude beat trash. Like, not disrespecting the guy, right. But it was like, yo, who'd you fight? You haven't fought. I'm like, yo, you ain't fight nobody. So like, okay, yeah, let's fight. Like, come on. Like, I'm gonna fight. Like, I'm not gonna lay in there and pray. Like, I'm gonna fight. So I'm like, let's go. Like I said, I that's why I fight, because I want to fight. I don't want to sit there and just like hide and like, well, I'm a pro fighter. No, I want to fight. Like,
that's interesting. That's very interesting. So,
do you consider yourself? I'm sorry, Everett. Do you consider like what do you think of DMV fighters right now? Because you know everything comes in waves, and in a lot of ways, your class is pretty much gone. I mean, there's a couple people that were younger than you and everything, but what's going on with the new class? I mean, because people. What do you think of DMV fighters and the waves of these teams, how they're changing? How do you stay stable with the teams always changing?
I mean, as far as that, just like in the beginning when I first started fighting, I would travel. I would go get work with other big guys because there's not that many big guys that fight. Big guys don't like to fight each other. We don't, because we hit hard. We're big, and it's like you go in another, you go into some else's gym and you're a big dude. It's like, all right, well, let's go. You don't get that a lot because it's hard to find bigger guys that fight, because most guys that are my size, they're playing a college sport, or they're a pro athlete, or it's hard, and we hit hard. People don't want to spar you, so it's like you have to travel legitly. I've even when I first came to Conquest, before I came to Conquest, when I was an amateur, I was like, can I go train at other gyms? They're like, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. There was like, because I was training at one gym, training at another gym, because they have guys there my size that would beat the shit out of me. Legitly. That's how I learned how to fight, getting my ass beat. Nowadays, I don't think they do that though. For a lot of the young guys coming in, like I legitly I would get my ass beat. Yeah, in practice. But I would go and travel to another gym and go against their good guys, their pros. As an amateur, I'm going with their guys, and to get better.
How did you end up in Conquest?
The gym that I was going to, the head coach stopped coaching us, and we had another guy coaching us. So I, like my wife got pregnant. I moved to a different area, and Conquest was closest to that. I was living by Conquest and going back to my old gym to do one more fight. I would drive 46 miles every night.
Damn.
46 miles one way, 46 miles one way.
To fight.
To train for
fighting.
To train for
not getting paid, not doing nothing, paying out of your pocket.
Yes, my last amateur fight for the old gym. I had one more fight for Conquest right before I turned pro. But before I went to Conquest, I did that, and I would drive 46 miles. I would work all day, nighttime go train for 3 hours, drive back home, do it again every day. Yep.
That's commitment right there. That is extreme commitment right there. And that's how you. And after that, that's how you got acquainted with Conquest.
Yep, I went there, and then I was like, all right, cool. I like them. They're, everybody seems reasonable. Everybody seems skilled, and I didn't have jiu-jitsu. I didn't even do jiu-jitsu back then. Like I literally started doing jiu-jitsu when I went to Conquest. I got my white belt at Conquest. Yeah. So
let me ask you this to close this. What is the one thing that you would recommend? Like, let's say if somebody young or somebody in their early 20s or somebody in their teens wanted to get into MMA, and let's say their goal was to be in the UFC or somewhere on the indie circuit or something like that, what advice would you give them?
You can't fight forever. So make sure as you're doing this, make sure you have other stuff that you're doing in the back end. Make sure you're either going to school, you're getting some type of career, some type of something, because at the end of the day, when fighting's over, once your body's beat up, you can't fight no more. That's it. So like a lot of guys think, oh, I'm gonna fight, make money. Nah. Every pro fighter I know in the circuit, we all work. And the majority of the pro fighters that I know all work. Even if they're on, like, prime example, Rob Watley, he still teaches classes. He still works. Micah Terrell still teaches classes, still works. Might not have a 9-to-5 job, but he's still doing something. We all do something. Nobody just sits on their ass and is like, well, I'm going to go train, go home, and then go train again, and then that's my day. No, we all have jobs. We all do something. You be fathers, we're all doing something. Legitly. So like if somebody says they want to be a pro fighter, I'll be like, well, what else do you do? Like, well, what else do you do? Like, how do you pay your, what's your day-to-day task? Do you sit at home on the couch and then just get up and go train? Or are you trying to better yourself as a martial art? Because at the end of the day, this is a martial art. It's not just fighting. It's a martial art. It's a lifestyle.
Right.
It's you have to change your whole life to fight. It's not just one aspect. It's your whole life, because everything gets involved. Like, because your mental state, when you start cutting weight, you start feeling shit. Like, you start having thoughts in your head. Like, it's just it's a lot of emotion, a lot of stuff that goes into it before we fight. People don't know that. People don't understand it all. Like, I can tell people I fight, but they're like, oh yeah, you're in a cage. No, do you know what I have to do to get to that cage? I'm 205 pounds. I have to be 186, 185 in 4 weeks. Stand on the scale. Do you know what I have to do to get to that scale? People don't have no clue.
What do you have to do to get to that scale?
Legitly, not get hurt. That's the first fucking thing. Because I just came off an injury. My knee got messed up because I was training. like I'm supposed to do, because it's a contact sport, so you're gonna get hurt all the time. So try to get not injured is the first thing, is to get to that scale. Then make sure your diet is on point. Make sure you ain't doing any drugs. Make sure you ain't drinking. Make sure you ain't partying. Make sure that you have enough money to get to these practices, to get to the places you need to get to. You know, it's a lot that goes involved in it. So then if you don't, you know, sometimes as a lower level fighter, you only get paid when you fight. So if you're not fighting, you're not getting no money. Mm-hmm. You're not getting a dime. So it's just like it's a process.
Medicals and stuff like that.
Medicals, yeah, it's a process. People don't understand. It is legitly a lifestyle. It's not that I don't call myself a fighter just how to be cool. No, it's a lifestyle. Yeah, you live a lifestyle, and it's like, it's very stressful. People do not understand. It's extremely stressful. Yeah, people ask you so many questions that don't make no damn sense half the time. Like people hit you up on social media. People will contact you just for the dumbest shit sometimes. I mean, granted, people are fans, so you wanna, you're not rude to people. So I'll, reply. I'll do my best.
Do you do UFC?
Oh, I get that. I've gotten that all the time. I'm like, no, I do. I'm a mixed martial arts fighter. I'm not signed by the UFC. I explain it to people because people are ignorant because they don't know. It's not like they're mean. It's just some people don't know.
They just don't know. They're not aware.
Yeah. So it's like I try my best to break it down to people, but it's just like when you train all day and work all day, you're tired.
Right.
Like you're legitly tired. Yeah.
And then Brandon calls you.
I know. Brandon
that's the last thing you want is Brandon calling you after a tired day, worrying you to death. And then if he's excited, it's like, bruh, chill out.
And then as a fighter, you're on like showcase, like, well, just like wrestling. When you're the top seed in a tournament, they turn the lights off and you go in there and do your shit. There's people just watching you. Like I'm an introvert. Like by trade, like I'd rather be home chilling, listen to music, like, but I know I have to learn how to flex in different aspects because that's what I want to do. I want to fight, so I have to learn how to do that.
You have to finesse and market.
Yes, I have to finesse a market. So I've had to train myself to be like, all right, cool. Try to be calm. Try to just showcase who I am as a person, because it's like if you don't open your mouth, nobody's gonna know. Right. Yeah. As far as people don't understand, like the lifestyle, a lot of people don't understand it. So when they come at you just saying some crazy stuff, you just kind of like, you give them, the basis, and then you keep it moving. But if you want to be a fighter, I would always tell people, there's guys at the gym now that are younger or amateurs, just keep working on your craft. Like, it's a martial art, so do everything that involves the martial art. Because people forget that we do jujitsu. They forget we wrestle. They forget we kickbox. They forget we box. We don't just go in there and slug. It's a plan. It's very intelligent. We're all very intelligent fighters. You have to be. Just like another pro athlete. It's a craft. So, hone your craft and also work on, your personal life. Because that will definitely involve your fighting.
Absolutely. So with that being said, this has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Is there anything you want to plug where they can find you at Facebook, social media wise, as long as they don't be asking those stupid questions?
Yeah. Hey, keep the questions coming. It's cool. Rude Boy 185, Instagram, Facebook. My name Elijah Bawley Jr. My next fight is Next Level Fight Club or Next Level Fight League. It's number 10 on their event. It's in North Carolina. Be fighting Jesse Pinkett. He was on the Contender Series, good 85er. So he bangs, and I bang too. So it's gonna be a good show.
Gonna be an interesting fight to see. Well, until next time, everybody. Happy New Year to you, and we'll see you on the next episode of the one and only Audio Airstrike. All right. See you. Take care.